What is your expectations come June for how many Americans will have had this vaccine?
100% of Americans that want the vaccine will have had the vaccine by that point in time.
That's some great news in our fight against the coronavirus. Operation Warp Speed is going to get everybody that wants a vaccine the vaccine by the summer. This comes, though, as hospitalizations reach a record high in the U.S., with more than 96,000 people admitted, 18,000 of them in the ICU. So what does this mean for the rest of the country? You guessed it, more of these insane restrictions. In New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo says he's leaning toward another lockdown if hospitals continue to see cases rise. Watch.
If we hit a real hospitalization crisis, we could potentially do a New York pause. California just did a California pause, which is basically a stop, or move one zone to another if we have a critical hospital situation.
Meanwhile, other state officials are cracking down as well. In New Jersey, Governor Phil Murphy banned outdoor gatherings larger than 25 people, as well as all indoor youth and high school sports. And in California, Governor Gavin Newsom says 51 of the state's 58 counties could be placed under a stay-at-home order. When does it end? When do we learn? Here to weigh in on this is my friend, my man Jesse Kelly, host of I'm Right with Jesse Kelly, right here on The First TV. Jesse, good to see you.
Oh, it's great to be here in the still free state of Texas, Buck. You are apparently absolutely turbo screwed, but we'll be okay at least for a while down here.
Yeah, I'd put a pin in that one, Jesse, because I remember there was a period there where even the state of Texas, what was it, earlier in the summer, they all decided that they were going to start locking things down a bit. But it hasn't been nearly as crazy as it is up here in New York and New Jersey, that's for sure. I mean, I want to ask you, when do you think we reach a point here where people will just start looking at a very straightforward observation? We have not opened up as a country, that we are not at normal, nothing even close to it. There's universal masking going on in major cities. All the data shows that, all the polls, everything. Just walk around the streets of New York. Everyone's wearing a mask. And indoors, everyone's wearing a mask. And yet here we are with cases higher than they were on a day-to-day basis than even at the height of the initial pandemic, when we were straight up being told by Dr. Fauci and others, you don't need to wear a mask. So what's the missing piece here for people to understand, Jesse? The government cannot protect you from this. The government does not know how to stop this.
The missing piece for everybody is they do not realize the government is supposed to be afraid of you, and everybody's afraid of the government. It really comes down to that. People ask all the time when this stuff's going to end, because there's going to be a surge every cold and flu season. There's always going to be a new excuse. I don't want to hear about vaccines, because even once they give you the vaccine, you'll still be at risk of a new strain of this, because at no point in time in the history of mankind has a politician looked at the power he held in his hands and said, I think I'll give some back. That has never once happened. So people, two things are going to happen. Only one of two things will end this. Either these people will get thrown out of office, a likely winner is going to get tossed out of office at his next election, and then they'll all wake up and leave. Or, and this is something I don't want, I know you don't want it, I don't think anybody wants it, somebody or bodies are going to get hurt, and get hurt badly. That's the only two ways that this stuff stops. Right now, all these idiot politicians do this because they think they can get away with it.
Well, I think that we're seeing something happening with more regularity now, which is where the state, when there's a mandate, and I've been saying this so long, if they want to do this sort of Orwellian propaganda thing of stand further apart in the elevator, as if any person with an IQ above that of a toaster thinks that actually keeps you any safer. They want to do that stuff, that's fine. It's when they have regulations and mandates. This all has the force of law behind it. This is what I think people forget in all this. This isn't the government making a suggestion. It's not like the government's food pyramid, or they're saying, don't eat 6 cheeseburgers a day or whatever. Sometimes you want to eat 6 cheeseburgers. I'm sorry, I thought this was America. But I'm saying eventually they do send people with guns to shut down your restaurant, your gym, your bar, perhaps even into your private home. And when you say, no, I don't want to obey your unconstitutional mandate, it's not even really a law, they're just making up as they go along, then we do have problems. And I think there's been enough of this now that people realize that's only going to grow.
Do they realize it, Buck? Because election fraud or no election fraud, we're not even going to get into that, I'm sure, right now. Maybe we are. But half the country went and voted for Joe Biden. Maybe less than half, maybe more than half. I guess we'll work all that out. Are people that mad about it? I mean, I'm
not enough
to remember
not
when
enough.
They told us When they told us, yeah, not enough. They told us coronavirus was here, and they went on TV, everybody, and said, go home and hide in your house underneath your bed for 15 days and suck on your thumb. And free Americans all went, okay, daddy government, you just let me know when I can come out again. And then they kept doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. And nobody's been hurt. Nobody's been thrown out of office. You say you're mad. I know you're mad. I know I'm mad. How mad is America as a whole? I think we're actually okay with it as long as the scary virus doesn't get us.
Well, I think a big part of it is if you look at the polling, the media has managed to convince people. I mean, the mass media has created a mass hysteria, as I say. They've convinced people that their specific risk, if they're under the age of 50, is something like 30 times greater than it actually is from this virus, right? That's I'm sure low. I think it's probably more like 100 times if you really did a more thorough analysis of it. But that then brings me also to, so we got a few areas. One is that anybody paying attention realizes these mandates, all this stuff, how exactly is this working? More cases than ever before, more hospitalizations than ever before. Oh, it would have been so much worse if we weren't all mask shaming each other? I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Beyond that, here is a spokesperson for the Los Angeles County Supervisor, Sheila Kuhl, after being caught enjoying a meal at an outdoor restaurant. Jesse, she went out to a fancy place, I actually know the place, in Santa Monica for an outdoor meal hours after voting to ban outdoor dining and made a public statement that she was doing so because outdoor dining is dangerous. I think the hypocrisy, again, not enough people figured this out. The hypocrisy shows that, some of us are more equal than others during COVID.
How mad are people, Buck? I hate to keep it going back, but you tell me. Look, I covered this story today too. Sheila Kuhl, she pulls the dirtiest thing you can imagine, votes to shut down your small business, and then goes and does exactly what she told you not to do. Let me ask you something, Buck. I'm looking through the news. Maybe I missed it. Was there a protest in front of her office today? Did she have people screaming at her as she got in her car? Were people flashing lights like the leftists love to do inside of her home at night? Not that I think anybody should approach somebody's home. I'm not saying that. How mad are people? I saw a bunch of news articles. I saw a bunch of this. This is a woman destroying livelihoods and then giving everybody the proverbial double middle finger with no fear whatsoever of the populace. I'm at the point, I'm rooting for these scumbags to rub it in everyone's face bad enough just so the American people will wake up and actually do something about it.
I got to say this, and not just because we apparently rummage through each other's closets to dress the same on TV. You are one of the few people who at the very beginning, you were right there with me publicly being called an advocate of mass murder because as soon as the initial data was coming out, we're saying, guys, this is crazy. We can't do this. I mean, the economic and societal implications and the trampling on freedom and the unconstitutionality, we can't. And all the pandemic playbooks up to this year had said, we never actually do a lockdown. That's insane. We were saying at the beginning, this can't happen. One major underestimation I have here. I actually am not surprised at how much shenanigans and fraud have gone on with the Democrats in the election. I think that we could say that was probably expected. I mean, they haven't really gotten caught yet with the full spectrum. But anyway, I am surprised to your recurring point here that people aren't more fed up with this and that they're not willing to just say mass non-compliance is the only way for them to leave us the hell alone. And I don't know what to say about it other than that's my only surprise from the perspective of the people.
Well, look, I don't want to come off as bitter, but it has been the biggest wake-up call I've had in my entire life of the status of where we are as Americans with our mentality in 2020, back when they told everyone to go home and everybody did. That should have been mass non-compliance day one. Day one, a mayor, governor, president, senator tells you, you go home and close your small business and lose your livelihood. Why? Because I said so? The American response is, go screw yourself. I'll be open tomorrow. And that's all my friends' responses too. That should have been the American response, but it wasn't. And so now we're wondering, well, when are they going to stop hurting us? They're politicians. They're never going to get tired of rubbing their power in your face until you make them afraid, period.
It's true. Jesse Kelly, everybody. I'm right with Jesse Kelly. I guess he's right, but watch his show. You get what I'm saying. Jesse, good to see you, man.
Be good, my brother.
Hey, Team Buck. Just want to say thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more great content from The First, please click that subscribe button.